We've got two NASCAR teams suing each other over a charter sale, plus Kyle Larson is getting his own Amazon documentary. Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well. Happy April Fool's Day on a day where social media is full of muck and garbage. Everything you hear on this video and this channel is factually true. We've got people working around the clock, aka me on my work break, vetting all of our sources. But without further ado, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Always talking NASCAR and motorsports on a daily basis. After the Martinsville carnage of this weekend with the Xfinity Series, Sammy Smith did get a penalty, by the way. That was announced. He did get a fine and a points penalty, but we're out of the paperclip. We're out of that, and we're moving on to this weekend in Darlington. Some great throwback schemes, but we've got some news to get into before we get to the on-track action this weekend. Amazon announced their next NASCAR motorsports documentary in production, already started filming back in 2024. Kyle Larson will be the center of the subject as his focus on the Memorial Day double, his second attempt at the Indy 500 Coke 600 double, will be fully produced and documented by Amazon, releasing in 2026. I've been rudely interrupted by Norman the Pug, who wanted to talk about Kyle Larson's double attempt, I guess. Regardless of that fact, yes, the documentary will be releasing in 2026 on Amazon's streaming platform. It'll feature, of course, coverage from Larson's first attempt in 2024, where he did race the Indy 500, although rain was the big factor in that day. It delayed the 500 start, and then he wasn't able to make the Coke 600 start, and as soon as he landed, the red flag flew, and the race was ended because of rain in Charlotte. It was not his day. Motorsports fans were ruined with rain that day. Kyle Larson's parade was literally rained on that day. But regardless, going to be interested to see how Amazon covers this. Of course, they are partners with Hendrick Motorsports. They have a sponsorship deal with Chase Elliott on his car. They are covering 5 races this summer, and they have announced already that Earnhardt documentary that will be released on Memorial Day weekend. So this is the next step in them furthering their roots in NASCAR. Very excited to see how they cover it. Moving on, it was announced today NASCAR confirmed their All-Star Weekend schedule at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and with that, part of the weekend buildup will feature the Cars Tour, the late model series, of course, owned by Dale Jr. They will be returning to North Wilkesboro as part of the weekend lead-up, but this time with a twist on that. They will be featured after the NASCAR Cup Series qualifying and practice on Friday night. Their main 100-lap feature will be broadcasted on FS1. It'll be simulcasted from Flow Racing's broadcast, but FS1 will carry the Cars Tour from North Wilkesboro, the first time the series has raced on cable TV. Very excited to see that. And the broadcast booth, fantastic. Of course, play-by-play announcer Eric Brennan, who is the Cars Tour announcer, he'll be joined in the booth with Dale Jr., of course, the series owner, and Kevin Harvick. Mr. Happy himself will be rounding out the booth. Of course, Harvick with the Fox broadcast tie-ins. Going to be very, very excited to see the Cars Tour on FS1. And a lot of fans will be getting their first chance to see the series in action because, of course, it's behind a paywall. Maybe not as accessible as a lot of other series. This will be the first time a lot of fans will get their taste of it. And I'm very, very excited to see what the ratings look like. I'm very excited to see fans get their first late model experience on cable TV. More of this. Excited for Flow Racing. And I'm excited that Flow Racing was able to partner with Fox and make this happen. Very, very cool. And finally, no April Fool's Day joke here, but I did talk about it in the teaser. We have another lawsuit in the NASCAR world. Lawyers are just making their living off of this sport in the last calendar year. This time, though, it's featuring team-on-team violence as Legacy Motor Club has opened up a lawsuit against Rick Ware Racing. And get this, it's for a charter sale. Yes, Legacy Motor Club is alleging that Rick Ware Racing agreed to a charter sale transaction with Legacy last month, and now Rick Ware Racing is trying to get buyer's remorse and back out of the deal that's already been agreed upon. Legacy Motor Club trying to add a third charter full-time. Now, courthousenews.com was the first outlet, I believe, that has reported on this, but they are talking, they've even got the full lawsuit posted, although a lot of it is redacted. The center of the lawsuit comes around March 3rd, 2025, when Rick Ware Racing and Legacy Motor Club agreed upon the sale of one of Rick Ware's charters to Legacy. But even though the agreement was in March, this goes back months. The lawsuit talks about in October 2024, Legacy, which already possesses 2 charters, began to identify a third charter to purchase and to expand their team of cars and drivers for 2026. Legacy learned that a charter owned by Rick Ware Racing was on the market for purchase. Strapped for cash and unable to compete at a Cup Series level by its own admission, RWR needed to sell one of its 2 charters. So on the morning of January 6th, 2025, Legacy met with Rick Ware representatives to strike a deal. They did. On March 3rd, 2025, Legacy and Rick Ware Racing executed a charter purchase agreement. Now Rick Ware Racing is trying to get out of the deal any way they can, and Legacy has gotten to the point where they have to finally do the lawsuit in order to make this deal stand. They are not giving in. They are going to take that car, it sounds like, whether Rick Ware wants to or not, whether it's buyer's remorse, cold feet, I'm not actually sure. But the timeline makes sense. If this was starting in October, when you look at Rick Ware Racing and their team, really, they were running really well in 2024. A lot of that was Justin Haley. Kaz Gralla was a part-time driver. They had an alliance with RFK that it seemed like was doing a lot better, even though the results charter-wise may not have shown it. The speed was improving, in my opinion. And then you had the driver swap for Corey LaJoie with Justin Haley. It was announced then Rick Ware Racing was going to lease one of their charters to RFK, that is now Ryan Preece in the 60. And one notable thing about that is that you can only lease your charters one time per 7 years. So after that, Rick Ware Racing was going to go have to race two cars full time again. I guess financially it was not in the cards, and so they were looking at 2026, how to get out of that. And here we are, because obviously they're not going to lease out the 51. That's their anchor car, even if it's Cody Ware. So now we've got Legacy Motor Club suing Rick Ware Racing, and a developing story that I would imagine Legacy is trying to get that third car for potentially Corey Heim, or just to open up another seat in the Toyota pipeline, just so they have more room. Again, there are only so many seats in the NASCAR Cup Series, and Toyota is the smallest manufacturer count in the field, so it makes sense for them to try and expand. Of course, 2311 got that third charter. Joe Gibbs is maxed out at 4. Legacy will, in theory, be maxed out at 3 with this new charter agreement. So again, a developing story. Let me know your thoughts down below about Legacy Motor Club suing Rick Ware Racing, plus the Cars Tour on FS1, and the Kyle Larson documentary on Amazon. If you're new here, make sure you like this video. It does help me out a ton. And subscribe to Breaking Bob for more NASCAR content. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.